Welcome to Jamstack Pirates, a rum fuel treasure hunt around the sharky waters with Queen Raae. I'm your host, Captain Olav, and today's guest is the great and powerful Colby Fayock.
Great and powerful. Love to hear that.
And we also have Millie and Tilly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
real surprise guest here.
Yeah. That's just Millie though, but Tilly will show up.
Yeah. I forgot to make you big though, Olaf, but now you're
That's
kind of
fine.
done the introduction.
And
Do
the
you have-
pirate princess is not coming today.
Oh yeah. So
She's not
Millie
coming.
and Tilly is here representing for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
what are we doing today then?
What are we doing today? Let me
Wait,
bring
should we
up our
say-
screen.
Should we say that Colby's from Cloudinary?
Yes.
Am I?
Maybe. Who knows? Why am I screen? Oh, there. Add to screen. Now we're here. So today we are fixing a bug that we surfaced when trying to add some analytics code to the Gatsby transformer Cloudinary. So to be able to see kind of what URLs, what Cloudinary URLs are generated by the Gatsby transformer Cloudinary, wanted to add a little bit of an analytics code at the end of the URL. And I think Colby has done that for his next Cloudinary component. And it's a good way for Cloudinary to see which integrations, are actually being used. And he used the JS client-side SDK while we're using the Node SDK because we're generating the URLs at build time on the server. And we tried, didn't work. We had some discussions and you dug up the line in the Node SDK we think is the problem, and we're gonna try and fix and we're gonna try and fix it live.
Yes,
let's do it.
And do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think the only thing is like shock analytics. So the thing with the Cloudinary URLs is, so we add this little URL parameter at the end, and it's really just about knowing what SDK is being used, what version of the SDK, what version of the underlying tech. So if you're using the React SDK or Next.js, like what Next.js version are you using? And we don't currently have that in Gatsby, but we want to know that information. Why do we want to know that information? Well, it helps us to see how many people are using Gatsby. Is that something we should prioritize more? I think we should, but maybe we can grab some data to help that out. And we can also kind of see what versions people are on. Should we be deprecating features? Should we be, keeping things around? All those kind of answers that we can gain insights into by being able to track the actual tech as opposed to track, the people. It's all about the tech.
It's all about tech. And I can see here in your next Cloudinary, at the end here of this long, I right click one of the images. There's a little code at the end. That's what I'm going to try to do.
And I'm not going to go into the entire bits of that, but if you want to pull that back up for a second, what we're mainly going to kind of focus on is the beginning of that little string, where that A is going to be the SDK analytics version, where the second one is going to be the SDK, where we have a specific letter designed to use with the Gatsby SDK, where that one there, V, is for Next.js. So that's going to be able to give us that differentiator to see which SDK, specifically Gatsby, are making those requests.
Cool. So we're not going to do that today because first we're going to fix the Node SDK so that we can add the tracking from the Gatsby plugin.
Yes.
Yes. So before the stream, I created a little bit of a test for us to run to make sure to help us in working, because working with SDKs is quite boring because there's no user interface. So we can't really, test it by looking to see if it's the correct, analytics being added. And I just saw something else that I didn't think about. And then because what I've seen with the one that seems to be working, if you do URL analytics true, you are getting a little bit of a tracking, which then gives us information that this URL is created by the Node SDK. But we want to be more specific. We want to be able to send in that it's coming from the Gatsby plugin. So tracking disabled works, and then it defaults to the node SDK tracking code when you're using URL analytics true. But then we also want to make it so that we could send in a tracking analytics object instead and have that be tracked. But what I just realized, Colby, the string that comes out starts with _s and not _a, which is doing in your use case.
Plot twist.
Plot twist.
That's a interesting. I'm not sure about that. I wonder. I was gonna say I wonder if S stands for server, but then what would A stand for? I don't know.
Analytics.
Yeah. But I mean, in the context of like, if S has a specific meaning.
Yeah, because S could also be for statistics.
Yeah.
But then maybe like your front end SDKs use the A and then the back end uses the S. Because in that case, we could add both. Like there could be the S for the Node SDK and then the A for the Gatsby plugin.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to talk to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to talk to the team about that. What we're going to start by doing is as trying to kind of get this object in there. So we're doing some TDD. So we have one red, and the only thing I'm checking for is that it should contain the _s, but it should not contain the same analytics code as the default one is giving us, because I have no idea what this would actually give us as a tracking code. So when we got that down, we could make a more specific test case. But okay, should we jump on in? We want to make this. We want to make this red test turn green. Boom, boom, boom. So this is the line that you found, and you wrote some things about it. Do you want to talk about what you're thinking?
Yeah. So the URL method that we're working with, that you're writing the test on, so that allows you to pass in a set of options. Now, those options could be anything. That could be the cloud, that could be the different transformations. But what we found is that it also can include those analytics properties. So what's happening here is the get analytics options ultimately will scrape those from the returned object, but object assign is saying, let's start with a new object. Let's take all the properties from options and put them on that new object. And on top of that, we're going to take all the properties from SDK versions and layer that on top. So anything inside of SDK versions will override the properties in options. Now that's where the problem lies, because the SDK versions object will always have those default values. So even if we pass something into that options object, it'll never work because they'll always get overridden.
Yeah, because we went into this get SDK's versions, and it actually always gives back the somewhere the tech version, the SDK code, setting the SDK code to uppercase M, and then it's getting the tech version and the SEM version, dynamically. But it's always returning all three. So no matter what we give in as an option, because what we were trying to do before, when I was just testing, we tried to do something like this where it's not an object. We just send these in because our hope was that it would actually be used in this get analytics options, that it would somehow use the options coming in. So it's kind of trying to do that, but it's not really. But then we thought it's better to maybe have an object here. It makes it more clear, and it's equal to the front end script, or the front end version. Yeah,
because by passing in that property, I think in the URL gen it's tracked with an ed analytics, if I remember correctly. But
tracked,
that
like
semantics
that?
For now. Yeah. But like the point being, like trying to make it uniform to what's expected out of other SDKs, right?
And then it's also checking to see if this URL analytics is set to true. So it's setting it to false, because I think this ensure option looks at the options object, and then it tries to get whatever is at the URL analytics key. And then if it doesn't exist, it sets it to false. But what we then want to do, what we would like, is that we don't have to set URL analytics to true. That will give us the default kind of node SDK tracking. And then if we set a tracked analytics, then we'll use that. So I guess the first step is to get that. Well, I think we can do cons because we're not going to be changing it. So tracked and I can't spell tracked analytics.
Oh, I always have trouble with that one.
ensure. So we're just going to do, I mean, this is working with other people's code, right? We're just going to copy what's happening over there so that, we do something similar with maybe not always fully understanding, but we'll try. So we'll do tracked analytics. And then if it doesn't exist, I think maybe we should do a null. If it doesn't, there's nothing. And then we could say, if Earl Analytics is true, let's do all of that they're already doing. Oh, but here's something is happening. Earl might already have a query param. So we want to do this anyway. So let's do if Earl Analytics equals true, or there is a tracked analytics. And then if there's a tracked analytics, we want to use that. Use tracked analytics. And then if not, then URL then the URL analytics is true, and we want to do what's happening there. So we're going to do the get SDK version and get the analytics signature. I'm guessing we should use the get analytics signature would be the same. So I'm guessing these two.
Yeah.
So we'll need the, well, let's put that here. So let's do that instead. Let's do that above, but then if not, we're going to override it. SDK versions equals tracked analytics. And then we don't have to do the else.
Well, that's
Does this
lovely.
work? Does that work? Sometimes I code and I'm like, what is my thinking correct? So first we get the SDK version, which will be the default, but then if there is a tracked analytics object, let's use the tracked analytics object, and then everything else should be the same except for get analytics option should then be object assign and then just SDK version. So it would be that, or it will be the tracked analytics.
Wait, so won't that break backwards compatibility though? My mind has just shut off.
You're thinking if somebody sets if somebody does the other one, like if.
But I guess there's no backwards compatibility because it didn't work, right?
Yeah, because you're thinking if somebody does this, right? Like if they do Earl Analytics true, which was kind of like what we initially thought we should do, but that didn't work. So
so there is no backwards. Yeah.
There's no backwards to be compatible with. If it didn't work in like 5 versions ago, which I guess you might have to like dig a little bit internally. But we could also do then SDK versions and then options if we really let's run this test at least so we see what's up. Our happy path. This is our happy path. And it's still not working though. Oh, look at that. But we're getting something.
An E.
Yeah. So it should contain the S equals. Oh, we are breaking our first. We're breaking something. We're definitely breaking something. Defaults to node SDK track. So we're breaking the actual one that should work. But we made our own work. Yay.
Huzzah. Ship it.
Let's ship it. Okay, so let's see why is it not. That could be because of the options thing. Maybe it's doing something fancy. Maybe this get analytics option is doing something with the option. So let's keep the options like it used to be. Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
So it seems like get analytic options is using more than what's on the SDK version. So we thought maybe they've done the assign the wrong way around, but it looks like they're using something that's on the options object, and then they're adding on the SDK versions.
And maybe the intent wasn't to be able to provide custom analytics. It was just to overlay those. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So in that case, we don't have to be backward compatible at all.
Right.
So then it's not a bug, it's a feature. What we're making. We're not fixing a bug, we're creating a feature. Whoop.
There we go.
Okay. But what I'm interested in now is like, how does our because the thing with this get analytics option, it's coming from, where's it coming from? Oh, it's coming from Cloudinary core, which I don't think we have access to.
It's not in the. I thought that one was in the Prime library, but maybe not.
Maybe.
Pull it up and look
Index.
as well.
Yeah, it looks here. Const. No, it
Yeah,
looks like it's a
Cloudinary core.
required Cloudinary core, which seems to be a package. So we can't really
Okay.
dig in. Yeah, we can't dig in to see what it's doing.
Yeah.
But maybe we should now make sure that this tracked code makes sense.
In what regard?
Because now we're just checking to see that it's not the same as the default.
Okay.
But we're not checking to see if it's anything like it should be. So maybe if we could test
Right.
with your Cloudinary next ones and see if that makes sense. So that would be V, and then what's your SDK version and tech version?
Let me find out for you. 1 second.
Yeah, and then I can print this out so that we can actually see what we're getting.
So I think the Next.js version is 13.0.6.
At the tech version?
The tech version, yeah. And then the SDK version, 2.3.2.
2.3.2?
Yes. 2.3.2, yeah.
Because what we're getting
V.
is, V. Yeah. Because what we're getting, we're just getting an E.
That's strange.
But we're calling it the same way, because this is, well, let's make sure the tracked analytics is what we think it is. Console log tracked analytics. Yeah, so the tracked analytics object is, so that's correct. That's what we sent it. That's what we're getting. And then let's do our const. Let's just do like assigned and then get this full thing. That shouldn't matter.
I'd be curious to see a console log of SDK versions before and after it gets set, and then what that final assigned looks like.
Oh yeah, so like what it is before.
Yeah.
So let's do SDK. Oh, SDK version. And then we'll do SDK version again. Then it should be set to that. And then our assigned. Well, we could just set, well, let's.
But we already see that it seems to be working, because we see the one with the M and then the assigned URL analytics SDK version. Okay, so
I
that's
think
the old
maybe
one.
it seems like maybe URL analytics has to be true when it comes in, even for.
So maybe inside of the tracked analytics block, you can set URL analytics to true, if that's a let.
In here?
I meant inside of the if statement.
Yeah.
So where you have if tracked analytics, just set URL analytics there to true as well.
Correct version, URL analytics.
Oh, is that on?
Yeah, because it has to be on. Because that's kind of what the assign does. So weirdly, if we only run the path that it looks like
Oh, right,
the
because it's
only
on
thing.
options.
Yeah, it seems like the only thing that happens on assign is adding that. But maybe if there's more options, that will be added as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking if we set then this to true, what are we getting? It's still just the E. But what if we set it to whatever this is?
Oh, look at this.
Oh, but then why is the assigned? Oh, because it's getting the options from, so it's getting it twice.
So should the SDK versions be a spread out object? Or no.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like added again because we're doing like we're taking it off the options and then we're like adding it. I'm not 100% sure why this assign needs to happen. What if we, so SDK versions,
Why is that?
and then we'll just do SDK versions, set that to true, and then just use our SDK versions instead of this assigned. Oh, I know. I've seen somewhere they want the full options object because they want to add on some extra in the analytics code if you're using specific features like a specific transform or something.
Yeah.
I think that's why they want the access to the whole, the whole thing.
Sense.
So if we want to be, okay, so let's.
Maybe if we go all the way back, the SDK versions, early analytics, maybe options.analytics. Or maybe assign tracked analytics onto options or onto.
Because let's just do the one test, the one that is like the default path, and see how it looks like. Okay, so then we have the SDK versions, and then assign. The only thing that's added is the Earl Analytics true. But the URL, let's do a console log of that URL. But the console log of that URL has the S equal AMA and so forth. While if we do our one, it's okay. It's giving us just the SE, and it's very similar. The only thing is that we have this added onto the assigned. And I think even if we remove that, delete assigned dot tracked analytics, we're still just getting the SE. Maybe they're not valid codes.
Then why would the URL gen work? I would expect it to use the same thing, but I don't know if that's a fact.
I think it comes down to what this get analytics options. No, the get SDK analytics signature does.
Have we tried logging out the analytics options itself before and after to see what that fully looks like? Yeah.
I mean, just little, when you being able to log an options object so you get that label, that was mind-blowing when I learned that.
I noticed that. I haven't seen that before. Okay, so there we see the SDK SEM version is not there.
Undefined.
And then feature.
Yeah, because that's what I think it's trying to. So there it says feature 0. So there's no feature.
Got it.
That's being used.
But we're not getting that SEMver.
But we're getting the same tech version.
Oh, it's because they're different properties. SDK SEMver. versus
Oh.
oh, it's probably because they're different property names than the Cloudinary URL gen.
So what are we working with then? We are working with SDK somewhere.
Yeah.
You got that further up there in the log.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
up there.
Yes.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, because that's the one that comes default. So it's SDK somewhere. So that would be the SDK version then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Look at that!
Yay! Okay, and let's see. Is that
What happened now? What did you do?
it's very close. I'll send the you can see the Next.js URL if you go there, but I sent it in chat. So it's very we at least got the very beginning. I'm guessing that there's like a version difference in there. Like maybe it's grabbing the interesting thing, like I had a hard time figuring out how to grab the Next.js package version. Because like when I'm building the library, it doesn't necessarily exist in the scope of my library, but it exists as a pure dependency. So like I'm importing it from the package.json, but it seems like it's not totally consistent in what it's grabbing.
Yeah, but we're seeing like the first part or the AVE 9.0, and then it's the AN 0, which is GD 0. But that could also be because this is the _S version of the tracking codes, and then
possibly
because we already saw that, maybe the get SDK analytics signature algorithm is different in the Node SDK and your front end SDK, and then that's why one of them has _A and the other one has _S. Could that be? You're muted. You're probably saying very intelligent things.
Not intelligent. I'm saying that I'm writing down notes. So we're curious why the S versus the A. We're curious why it's tracking off by default. Was overriding those values ever supposed to work in the first place?
Yeah, and I'm guessing no on that, because I think why they want the options is to be able to feature track.
Yeah.
Because I think we've done a test here now where we did, like a transform. I don't remember the exact way that's handled, but I think we added some transforms and we used some specific features that would get added onto the analytics. Because I think I saw that in the front end code. Because you said you'd done it in you've done it in the next here tracked, so that was correct. Oh, it is SDK somewhere there too, so I don't know why I was
did I put it doesn't matter. I don't know if I pasted that wrong or something, but
anyway, so that makes sense. So it's the same, so that's good, because it would have been weird if they were different, but like that happens with software that lives for a very, very long time,
right?
But you're getting that from the Cloudinary URL gen. Is that something you've made, or is that yours?
That's an official Cloudinary package, the URL gen.
Yeah, because if we go to that,
there's a apostrophe in the top. Yeah.
And I'll get up. No, not packages. I want to respond. Oh, I think I found it. If I go to the Cloudinary. There. URL gen.
There we go.
And then we do a search for tracked analytics. And that signature code, because that's public. Yeah. Here, if you use lazy load or placeholder or something like that, that gets added onto at that end. So this might be this code might generate a slightly different. Yeah, because here it says algo version A. So I'm guessing the one that we're using is algo version S. So it's a slightly different.
Well, that's the first letter of that string. Remember the A at the very beginning? So I'm not sure about the S versus the A part.
Okay. But anyway, it's algo version, SDK, encoded SDK version, encoded tech version, and then the feature code.
Feature code. Okay.
Yeah. So something is different, but so I guess you have to ask about that. But I think our answer to did they mean to kind of tack on everything from the options, start with everything on the options object, and then add the SDK versions? Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay, we did it.
Awesome.
So now we need them. We now need the core or the SDK team to do a little bit of a review on this. I'll put it up. I forked, so I'll put it up as a just a pull request on my repository, and they can do some quick checks before we start making a proper pull request. Or what do you think?
I would just throw in the PR. I told the one guy who's maintaining it that we're gonna put something together. So I would just create the PR and start the discussion there. And plus, I already have that issue.
But he's gonna hate me because I changed all the formatting. I didn't know how to get the correct formatting.
Oh well, don't commit that.
I'll clean that up so it's only the changes that we've made. Okay. Yeah, before we do it. So I'm just gonna go back and so what we've done is that. Oh, so here it says something. Earl might already have a. So the S is actually set here as a hard.
Okay. It's also possible that it was like a legacy way to add it, and they changed it or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I was gonna remove all my console logs. That's what I was doing. Okay. Do we still have green test? No, because I've said to contain and not contain.
You were testing the Next.js version, which
yes
has some kind
so
of
let's
difference.
just try something else. Let's just put some random stuff in here. 3, 7 and see what comes out. And then also I was thinking maybe we should have a test that gives in the default and make sure that it gives us the same one. Based on configuration to contain, are we green? No. Oh, because I've changed it. So that's going to be this code. This is the best, right? Writing tests based on what we're actually getting and not on what we're expecting. But we have no idea what we're expecting, so we've got to start somewhere.
Right.
So then let's do default. Default gives us the same. Default configuration. Configuration gives us default code. And then do we remember what the defaults were?
Well, I wonder if that's a function that you can import.
Oh, I can just import this one.
Well, I'm saying I'm wondering if you can. That way, like, you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah. Looks like it. So let's import that. Import. Oh my God, I can't spell anymore. Import. Or anymore. Who am I kidding? Never could spell. Get SDK version.
Not judging. Okay. So then we could do a tracked analytics is the get SDK version. And then that should be the same as when we just do URL analytics true. Yes. Nice.
Yes.
Success.
Like say duplicating or whatever default configuration. Configuring. Ooh, configuring. I'm trying to make this more clear because we say enable tracking defaults to node SDK tracking code using URL analytics true. Default configuration gives us default code. Sounds not so good.
Tracked analytics option with defaults. I don't know.
Yeah. Configuring tracked analytics to default. Analytics give us same as above. I'm just gonna see same as above because if we're actually reading this after each other. Yes. And then generates, and it should be generates tracking based on configuration. Okay, custom. Okay, that's it.
Awesome.
Boom, boom,
Boom.
save. But I'm gonna try. If you can ask them if they have a prettier setup, I would love that, so that I can just save and get the same configuration instead of having to go through and checking everywhere.
Sounds good.
But
You should get a little like one of those cannons that whenever you finish, you can go, you know, like a pirate ship.
Yes, I am taking a note.
that would be so. Maybe with like real little like, not dynamite. What are they called? Well, the ones that are people were like using on 17th of May and stuff to make noise in the streets.
Oh, blanks, right? Like when you fire a gun and it like pops, but it doesn't shoot anything. Blanks. Yeah.
We should get some of those.
That'd be so much fun.
Can I do a pirate story now about cannons?
Oh man,
yes.
I want to hear more about cannons.
So my father really wanted to buy a cannon for his sailing ship, and then he talked to this buddy of him that had a cannon in his garden. That's where he got the idea, because he had like a real replica cannon that was a working replica in the garden. And then his plan was that, you know, when naval ships come by, you can pull your flag up and down, and then they kind of, it's courtesy to do the same, so they will answer. But if you fire a cannon like a signal shot, it's courtesy to kind of shoot back. So his plan was that he had his cannon loaded there with a blank, so that when a naval ship would come by, he'd shoot the cannon and then maybe they'd shoot back, and he would, you know, really love that. So to not get rain into the cannon, he had a little metal bucket like on the mouth of the cannon. And then one day a naval ship was coming by, like real close. It was the SS Norway is the king's ship. So he has a naval class ship. It's just like a fancy ship for doing cocktails and stuff. It's real good looking, and they have a little cannon for, you know, shooting off stuff for the king. So he ran down to his garden, you know, and he was all jacked up, and he lit up the cannon, and he went boom. But he forgot to take off the little bucket. So the bucket went like this, out. And he made like a little splash there in the water. So it kind of looked like he was actually like trying to shoot the ship, you know.
The king's ship?
Oh, he was freaked out, but they did the flag thing. As an answer, they were like taking up and down the flag of the ship. So kind of,
they didn't fire back.
Yeah, you're cool. You're cool without shooting you back. Yeah, yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
After that, my father was like, "Yeah, that's true. A lot of stuff can happen when you have like cannon, and you know, yeah." So he just waited for a while with that cannon thing. Yeah.
I actually sailed on the boat. This the father of a classmate of mine. He was an architect. He built his own boat. He like actually poured concrete and made a concrete boat.
Yeah.
It was huge with a fireplace inside and everything. It wasn't like a yacht, but it was like a good sized, you know, sailing boat. But he had one of those like this big of a cannon that was only made for like blanks. And I think he could like tip it. But I remember we sailed into where my mother's summer house was, and we were like firing that off, me and like 3 of my friends, and then this classmate and this guy. I think this guy had a little bit of a crush on my mom, but like that she never realized. But his sailing boat was pretty cool.
I'm sad that I don't have a cannon story. I need to do some work for next time.
But if we get a cannon for the show, maybe we could bring it to conferences and, you know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, React Norway needs a little bit of a nautical cannon to like set off the the conference.
Until they start having a sign that says "Leave your cannons at the door."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I pitched myself as an MC, so
That would
if
be
that
awesome.
happens, we know what will happen. Then I'll have Ola on stage to do a little bit of a cannon firing to announce the beginning of the
Yeah.
conference.
That would be so good.
Yeah, I'm just like manifesting here. By I'm already the MC of React Norway in my mind.
Sold.
Yeah. Okay. I hope to see you guys. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna
Yes,
come
yes.
or not, but that would
No,
be super cool.
traveling is going to be pretty light this year. I'll be at Render ATL if you'll happen to be there.
Yeah, that's in the US, right?
Yeah, Atlanta.
Yeah. Same as you. Like I'm not crossing the Atlantic this spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe towards the end of the year something will pop up then.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, do we want to do a little bit of a summary?
Yeah.
Who wants to do the summary? I'm like looking at Colby.
Oh, did you want me to? Okay.
I don't know. I was just suddenly very silent.
Let's take
which is
turns.
weird for me.
How about the what? I'll start off with the what. So the what
Yes.
is we want to be able to have a better way of gauge usage of the different frameworks. And the framework in the context here is Gatsby, which you find people have been helping us out with. So we need a way to be able to add those custom analytics codes.
Yep. So you did Y as well, actually.
Oh, okay.
Which was very good.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
and then I can do the how. So we tried to do that, and then I'm just gonna. There we go. We tried to do that, and as you done with the next Cloudinary plugin, but you are using the kind of the front end SDK, the JavaScript SDK, or EarlGen, I think you call it. While we use the Node SDK because we are building these URLs at build time because it's Gatsby, and we do all the work at build time. And we tried to just do what you done, but using the Node SDK, and it didn't work. And then we kind of looked at the code and we assumed that it would work because it was doing an object assign. I just have to find my place in the code again. So we added some code, but at least this assign was happening. So we thought, oh, they're trying to get all the options, but they're overriding it with the SDK versions. But we realized while coding that, no, it was actually not intended to take any options on what SDK or what framework was being used because it was, it was the Node SDK. So it only wants to track the Node SDK, but we're trying to override it and say, hey, it might be the Node SDK, but, we wanted to be the Gatsby who gets the, gets the attribution. So I think you added it as a bug report, but we now realize that we've actually made a feature.
Yes.
So yes. So what we did is that we started by adding a test. So this first test, which is tracking is disabled by default, is how it was working and still works. So we made sure that that still works. If you enable the default tracking, which is you do by giving the option Earl Analytics set to true, we're getting the code that the default version was giving us. And then we wanted to make sure that if you configure it with the same defaults, you get the same code with kind of our new way of doing it, which is setting a tracked analytics object with the SDK code, the SDK simmer, and the tech version right on the on the tracked analytics, which is right on the options. And in the code, then we needed to check either Earl. I can't say it. Earl. I can't say it. Earl Analytics is true, or if there is a tracked analytics object, then we want to use that tracked analytics. But we started with the default version where we get the SDK version, and then if there's a tracked analytics object, we set the SDK versions to the tracked analytics object. And then maybe we didn't need this anymore because we were doing a lot of things to make sure if that worked. Let's see. No, we do need that. So we realized we also needed to add back that Earl Analytics equals true. And
So
then
I
we
would
just
I would suspect that there's something you can do there to avoid that delete statement. I think it's just a matter of
Mhm.
figuring out what's.
Oh, we don't need a delete. We don't need a
Oh, you're not
delete.
even passing in that assigned at all.
No, I'm not. There we go.
Nice.
This is what you do. See? Good
Yep.
review. Good review.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
why you
then-
review your code.
Exactly. And then we create an analytics option because we realized it wants everything that's on options, because if you're using specific features, that should be tracked, and maybe some other things that we don't know about. But then we want to add on our SDK versions object spread on the options, which is then spread on the empty object. Or said another way, empty object is assigned everything in options and then assigned everything in SDK versions. And then we're asking for the signature. And this is the code that was already there, where it gets appended to the end of the URL. Boom.
Millie and Tilly, what do you think?
Oh, stop
Millie!
running. Stop
Tilly!
running. Oh, running.
Yeah,
again.
they're not that impressed. They're not that impressed. But I was gonna say that I really, really would love to see GitHub letting me review my own pull request, like being a reviewer of my own code, because just like we were doing now, like looking at the code with a different mindset, like now we were going to summarize and we're like, oh, why did we do it like that? Oh, that's like from we were messing around. Same thing. Like I want to be able to push up a pull request, put myself as a reviewer, and then maybe an hour down the road or like the next day, I want to be in reviewer mindset and then go through my code on GitHub, leaving comments for myself, and then solving them by uploading some new code. It really annoys me that that's not possible.
I didn't
And I'm
even
not
realize that
joking.
wasn't. Yeah.
No, you're not allowed to assign yourself as a reviewer.
I wonder if the mindset is just like people abusing that and getting past reviews without having to have those checks and balances. But I don't know.
But they could still have like it has, they could just change the check to being like must pass somebody else's review. Like
Yeah, self-review. Yeah.
Yeah. But it works when I'm working with you guys, because we're Cloudinary Raae and Cloudinary Ula to be able to push code. So I push and create a pull request as Raae, and then I go in as I sign in as Cloudinary Raae and I do a review.
Cheaters.
And then
I'm telling on you.
don't tell GitHub.
but then I also have like merge without review abilities. So
Yeah.
you all should be happy that I actually reviewed my own code. No, I'm just kidding.
We have to pay extra for that.
Yeah. And I think people think I'm joking on Twitter when I'm saying like I want to be able to be a reviewer on my code, but like I actually do.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. Like as long as it's coming from you, of course, but as long as people actually take their self-review seriously.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder for like maybe I can do a review, but I can't do the coding until like another 2 or 3 days. It's really nice to have those notes and have it be resolved.
Yeah.
Hits those little dopamine hits like we got with our tests today. But I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Success.
Okay, I'm not going to sing then, since the Pirate Princess is not here. She will be
Oh.
angry. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
No. She's going to because she's going to ask me, and then yeah.
Not even if we make the eyes we saw. We saw this movie this weekend, and if you've not seen it, you've probably seen Puss with Boots before, making like the very like big, cutie eyes. And in this movie, there's this little dog that is like a street dog, or like I don't know, like a stray dog, who looks, a little weird, and then he tries to make the cute eyes, and it's not cute at all. Lillian thought that was like one of Lillian's favorites.
This is the new Puss in Boots?
Yes, we saw the new Puss in
Need
Boots.
to watch that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then Lillian drew this the next day.
It's adorable.
Look at this, it's Krister. Hello.
Hello, Krister.
Yes,
Ah.
summer is around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how's the ice cream game going, Krister?
What is Rumlosa? Is it like a Norwegian like soda or seltzer or
It's a Swedish
hard
seltzer.
seltzer? Swedish?
Yeah, it's just a sweeter, like sparkly water, like a Pellegrino.
Okay.
No, what's it called?
Okay.
Yeah, like a Swedish Pellegrino, I guess.
Sounds good.
Yeah, this is when the people are like piling in now that we've finished our work.
Hey-o. Hey-o. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we're signing off, but Krister is making a game where you get to sell ice cream in the Nordic kind of peninsula.
Ooh.
There
Yeah.
are moose. There are moose selling ice cream from a boat, and in the buyers there are also moose. At least that's what I saw on one live stream. But maybe there are other animals. But at least there were lots and lots of moose coming to the boat, you know, to buy ice cream. And there was something wrong, so they were into the water and trying to get into the boat, and it was crazy. That's a long time ago. It's probably fixed that. Yeah, I probably fixed that. Yeah.
Yeah, this was in development because Snooty, which is the little game shop that Krister has with his wife or partner, they're the ones that got us into live streaming. So thank you for that.
Yes. And
Okay.
also now we have the Lily Cam because a lot has happened. He says, I can't click it yet because, But yeah, there you go. A lot has happened. Yeah.
But you were gonna say they have a dog cam. So now that we got animals, we have a million Tilly cam.
Yeah. When Lilian heard about that, she was like, okay.
Now you got to put like a little tablet there so that they can see you.
Yeah.
You're like, Billy.
Yeah, so they can see us.
It would have been cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're all here just making faces trying to get their attention.
Yeah.
Okay, let's manage to sign off everyone, since we have no singing. We just kind of have to like awkwardly. Do you want to say something to end this, Ola, even if you're not singing?
How about a poem? How about a poem?
I was thinking just I was thinking just blowing my thing.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and
then we'll wave awkwardly until it ends.